Hello, everybody. This is Mandy at Laugh and Grackle. We decided that we're going to do a little update, kind of keep you guys up on everything that's been going on with us. So I'm going to turn it over to my hubby right now because he's the one that wants to tell you about stuff.
Hello. Well, like she said, I'm the one that usually tells about all the stuff that goes on with the truck while I get attacked by a cat. I do too. Yeah, we've had a fun month, that's for sure. With 3 breakdowns in 1 week, totaling over $10,000 in repairs. The first round of first breakdown, happened in Alabama, Mississippi. Yeah. And I have bought my own, now that I have paid off the truck, which that is another thing. We have the truck paid off now. Free and clear. The title's in my name. But since we've paid it off, I'm going to start doing a lot of repairs on my own, and I'm now responsible for all the repairs. I don't have Ryder repairing my truck for me through my maintenance plan. Anyway,
we like to call that suddenly bootsy.
So I bought a diagnostic unit that is on par with what the dealership has. It does everything. I can do anything, get into any part of the computers on this truck, and do whatever the dealer can on it. So when we broke down, first thing I did was run the diagnostics on the truck. And it came up with 3 codes for me. Now, I did as much of the troubleshooting as I could for those codes. But right now, until we get back home again, I don't have a voltometer or anything to test wiring with. And it was a problem in the wiring. At least that's what I believed it to be. So I did what I could. I unplugged plugs and blew them out with compressed air and put dielectric grease in it and see if it cleared the code. It didn't. So from there, I just had to go ahead and go to the dealership and let them check it out. Well, it was all the issues were in the emission system. And there's one wire, it's called a one box, which has pretty much everything. Like your car has a catalytic converter, this truck has several things similar to a catalytic converter. A diesel particulate filter, I don't even know what the SCR stands for, and the DOC, I don't know what those letters stand for, but that's 3 different filters, though, that are in the one box on this truck. And then there's multiple sensors. And then there's a unit that injects diesel exhaust fluid into it to clean the emissions. When the emissions come out of the back of this truck, it's nothing but nitrogen and water vapor. There's no CO2 left. It's just nitrogen and water vapor that come out of the back of this truck after it goes through that one box. So the problem was with that, and that one box has its own dedicated wiring harness, and the problem was not in that wiring harness. But the dealership said, "Oh no, it's not in the wiring," even though that's. I went in there and I told them I think I need a wiring harness for the one box. They said, "Well, look, check it out. they come back and said, no, it's not the wiring harness. You need a DEF pump, a DEF doser, which is the injector that injects it into the exhaust, and a what was that other that sensor? I can't remember what the sensor was now, but and you need this sensor. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's a wiring issue. Like, well, I mean, we could replace the harness, but our mechanics have so many years of experience, and they have, they've had all this training and, all this stuff, and invested all this money in all this, and if they say it's this. I was like, all right, fine. I don't have that much experience, especially when it comes to the emissions part of this truck. This is the first truck I've owned that's had that type of emissions on it. So I am still learning about it. But I was like, okay, I'll trust your mechanics. Well, they replace all that. Then he tells me that he got all the codes to clear and it was doing good, and then all of a sudden the ACM went out, which is the after treatment control module. That's the computer that controls the entire emission system. Well, what the hell? All this stuff failing at one time just does not seem right. But, if the ACM's gone out, the truck ain't going to even move with that out. So, all right, replace it. I end up leaving there with over $4,000 bill. And keep in mind, it's not been that long ago since we put in like $10,000 into this truck. Right after I paid it off for a whole bunch of stuff, including stuff involving that one box. Well, we drive 500 miles, deliver our load, and while we're sitting in the dock getting unloaded, the check engine light comes on again. I pull the codes. Same codes. And I look into those codes even more. And I go into the troubleshooting even further, and it says that if this code and this code show up together, then follow these troubleshooting steps. All the troubleshooting steps, if you've got both of those codes, involve the wires. Nothing else. Just the wires. So that right there told me it's the wiring harness, because I've got those two codes together. And the other code for the other one that I had first, that did go away. That code never came back. But I still don't think it was the sensor, because what that code was saying was that it lost communication with the CAN network. Now the CAN network is like LAN for computers. LAN, local area network. I don't know what the C stands for in it, but it is the network of your truck or car. Even cars have a CAN system. Because even newer cars have multiple computers now. One that controls the transmission, one that controls the engine, one that controls your dash and everything inside your car. They've got computers all through them now. So they communicate together on a network. So it said it lost communication with the network. Well, that don't sound like a bad sensor. That sounds like a wiring issue. Well, when I took it to the next dealership, they didn't have it in checking on it for very long at all. They said the mechanic pulled codes. He unclipped the wire clip. He checked the pin that the troubleshooting says to check. And now, these are the same steps the first dealership should have gone through, because it's the same codes, so it's the same troubleshooting steps. And he checked it, and it was reading 8 volts when it should have been 5 volts. All that stuff runs on 5 volts. And it was reading 8 volts, and when he wiggled the wire, the voltage went erratic. You need a new wiring harness. I knew it. So I called up that other dealership. I was like, your mechanic screwed up big time. I told you it needed a wiring harness, but I trusted your mechanic. I trusted that he did the proper troubleshooting. Obviously he didn't, because there's no way that this mechanic probes that wire and wiggles it and gets that response out of the voltage, and that other mechanic didn't. All he did, I guarantee all that other mechanic did was pull the codes, look at the codes and go, well, it's saying the DEF pressure is low, so you need a pump, and when the pump goes out, that usually damages your doser, so we need to replace the doser, and it got a code for this sensor, so we need to replace that sensor. He did not actually troubleshoot it at all.
Yep.
All he did was throw parts at it based on what the code said. So I called, and they said, well, yeah, have them send me the information, or, what they found wrong with it. They did, and I called him back up, and he said, yep, we'll cover it.
That was after the big runaround of, well, that's just the way that it is.
Well, no, they didn't give me no problems over. He decided to cover it immediately. As soon as he got that information from the other dealer.
Because I know that you went around with the lady that was there.
There was issues with getting the communication between the two places to get it paid for. That held us up and stuff, but they agreed to pay for it pretty fast. But so that repair was covered, but that was only $1,700. I paid the other place over $4,000 for repairs that didn't need to be done.
Yep.
Do I get a refund on that? Hell no. But at least they did cover it, and my truck was running for a while. We get another
500 miles?
600, 700 miles, I think. We wake up one morning, we start the truck up, and we hear squeak, 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 squeak. And Amanda's like, you hear that? And I was like, yeah. So you need to check that out? And I was like, no. No, I don't.
You didn't want to.
I knew what it was. I didn't want to.
Mind you, we were at a rest stop and not a truck stop. Out in the middle of nowhere, and it was really hot.
I took off trying to drive it despite knowing what was going on with it, and eventually it popped up a check engine light. I run the codes, and it was exactly what I was afraid of. Low fuel rail pressure. My fuel pump was going out. We pulled into a rest area. I was trying to figure out what we're going to do, and called around because I was trying to figure out how I was going to pay for it too. I just dished out $4,000, and now I've got this. And then I finally found a shop that was just a little behind us. I got the truck to fire up. I had to reprime the engine and get it to that shop. And then they had to order all the parts, and it was the weekend, and it was just a mess. And so we sat there for several days, still having to run the truck, even though with the fuel pump going out, running the truck means that Well, that when the fuel pump goes out, that squeaky noise is metal on metal. So it's putting metal shavings into the fuel, which gets returned to the tank to get sucked up again, and sometimes can get past your filters. If it gets past your filters, then it goes in your injectors, and now you need injectors as well. So I was having to run it to keep the batteries charged. I had to start it up every now and then, whether I wanted to or not, because we were miserable and animals were miserable. Food was going bad in the refrigerator.
Twice.
And we needed to have our phones charged because I needed that to be able to call around and work on how to pay for this damn thing. I finally got a loan to pay for part of it. And we thankfully got somebody else that helped us out with some money for the rest of it. And was able to pay it off, pay for that repair. But that was over $6,000 because not only do you have to replace the fuel pump, but you have to replace all the fuel filters, which there's multiple fuel filters. You have to replace 2 fuel lines because they're one use only. They got compression ends on them. Once they've been tightened down, you can't reuse them. You have to replace them. All the coolant has to be drained out of the system because coolant runs through the fuel pump to keep it cool. All the fuel has to be drained out of the fuel tanks, and the fuel tanks rinsed out because of the metal shavings getting back into the fuel tank. So then I had to buy more fuel to put in it. So yeah, over $6,000, then plus the weather repair, $4,000 in 1 week, an entire week, and plus a little bit of another week down.
Yeah.
The 1 week being down put me in the hole so much that not only did I not get a check that week because I didn't hardly work, but then I didn't get a check the next week because I had to pay work back for everything that they paid. You know, whether if this truck rolls or not, I've got to pay insurance and tags and, you know, all the yada yada stuff to make the truck legal to drive down the road. So I was in the hole so much there that I didn't get a check for a second week. Now we are rolling again, and we are getting good miles finally. That has been one big problem, that miles have been bad. Freight's been really bad, but seems to be picking up a lot this month. So we are rolling good. We're making good miles, and we are recovering from that mess, but we're still behind a lot. And
yeah, so whenever things go bad, they go bad.
It's going to take me about 2.5 months to get out of the hole. Because we were debt free. I had no loans, no debts. We paid it all off. But now I've got a big loan that's got a pretty high interest rate. I borrowed $4,000 towards that $6,000, and I'm paying like $430 something a month just to cover the interest. The minimum payment, $430 something just covers the interest every month. It's been a heck of a month.
Yeah, it has.
We are now running nights because this load right here, I have until 7 a.m. Monday morning, which it is now. Right now here, it is about 12:17 on Saturday, and I've got 1,400 miles to do by 7 a.m. Monday morning.
So we run hard.
We got a lot. We're going up to Juliet, Illinois from El Paso, Texas. So we got a long, good, hard run here. But I guess that's enough about what's been going on. As far as the channel goes, of course, she does, her part of the videos. I'm the one that puts the videos together and publishes them and puts them up on for y'all. And I have wondered, we've put a lot of effort into the pictures and everything else that we do, even the opening sounds and all that stuff that goes into making the videos. And basically I was just wondering, one little feedback on what you all thought about that. She gets feedback on her readings and stuff. I'd like to get some feedback on the videos themselves. The format, the layout.
Is there anything that we need to do differently and things like that?
Yeah, is there anything that you think could improve? Because this is new to both of us, even though we've been doing it for a while now. It's still never done it before.
Yeah.
So I have improved some stuff. We started out with some really basic stuff that I put together for like the opening picture to tell what deck it is and everything. And then we've changed the format of the videos multiple times. And we've added decks and all that stuff. And of course, I was doing the Ask Oracle. I might get back to doing that, but those 2 decks that I was using was getting a little redundant on their cards. So I was running out of ways to make it funny. So I might get back to that if I can get another deck or 2. That'll change things up a little bit. But as far as the format of the videos goes, I would just like to know what you all think and if there's anything you think we could do better on. And now she's got something she wants to tell y'all.
Yeah, what I would like to try to do at least one day, like in a week, and it is to actually get a few readers or other people, and to go on to a group kind of thing and just kind of discuss things. Like, I like to know how you guys got into the things that you guys do, and what your all's practices look like, and just different things like that. Some of the good things and some of the bad things about being somebody who has these gifts. And I would like to actually get a really good conversation going.
She was hoping to get people that don't just do tarot.
Yeah.
Like she knows somebody that does bone reading, people that do different other things that's similar to tarot but not tarot,
Yeah.
Whether it's pendulum, whatever.
Yeah, I would like to have different types of readers, and to try to get a little bit more interest within the channel. And and here's the other thing about it, that for each person that comes on to my channel, they get a turn on their channel. So it's not like this is just gonna help one person. I don't want to do that, because to me that's not what this is about. This is about community. This is about learning from each other and understanding how it is that we do what we do. And that's what I want to try to get a little bit more interest in. I already have one person, But if somebody else out there who does something different, I would like to talk to you about doing this group. So if you're interested, please let me know.
You want to show Diego?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, get it quick.
That's the Diego. The little Diego. So, you know, if you know of anybody who would be interested in doing this, you know, tell them to drop me a line, because I would like to get this going. I know it's still going to take me a little bit to get things situated, but okay, now you got to move. But you know, if you guys can give me a little bit more people who would be involved, please let me know.
I also have to figure out the technical part of how 3 people or more can have a conversation from different parts of the country, and we can record it at the same time. And I know there's stuff out there to do it, but
If you have any information on that,
I've never
can
played
use
with
it.
that stuff, so I got to figure that out too.
Yeah, so, well, I won't keep you any longer. I know this is a pretty long video, so I guess I will see you guys later.
And we will be putting some pictures of the critters up that we've taken that we haven't showed you all lately. We're kind of behind on that.
Yeah,
So
our little wild childs.
it's feeding time.
Yeah, that's why they're going
Feeding time.
crazy.
Way past feeding time.
They're sitting there and they're letting us know, hey, you forgot something. Yeah. So I will see you guys later. Hope you guys are enjoying this. Have a good one.